Hi, everybody. It's Jill here again, and I am so excited to continue to talk about our upcoming women's conference, Ignite Your Radiance, that will be happening March 2nd in Woodinville. You can go to illuminatingwomen.com and look at the events, and you can learn more about the conference. I've already brought to you a couple of our speakers that will be at this conference teaching you and enlightening you and inspiring you. And today I want to bring to you our first speaker, the one that will be starting us out. And this is Dr. Brenda Butterfield. And she came across my radar when I was planning to do this conference, because I've heard over and over again, until you can't get anywhere unless you really kind of get mindful about things. And if you're in business and you listen to all of the writings, there's always that mindset and mindful on what you're doing. And I realized it's a lot deeper than that. And her name kept popping up, and people said, have you heard her? Have you heard her speak? Have you seen what she's doing? Have you been to any of her classes? She's just knocking things out. And I thought, well, I want to bring the best to you, because I really believe that when women illuminate their personal and professional lives, their communities get better, their homes get better. And women they shine, they thrive, right? And part of that in Illuminating Women is about empowering, encouraging, educating. And so today we're going to get some really wonderful education. And she's not going to give away everything, because you need to come to the conference. But I wanted to bring Dr. Brenda Butterfield forward to let you get to know her a little bit better. And I'm going to ask a few questions, and that you can get an idea of what it is she's going to bring to the conference and why. Why do you want to come to this conference? And who do you know? So without further ado, Dr. Brenda Butterfield, thank you so much for coming today and spending time to share with me a little bit about you. And so if you don't mind starting out, tell us a little bit about who you are and why you do what you do.
Oh, thank you very much, Jill. It's a pleasure to meet you face to face and to be here today. So thank you for the invitation. I have a private practice in Redmond, and as part of my practice, I offer a variety of services to our community. I work with folks on a one-on-one capacity, providing psychotherapy to a small number of people, both here and in Olympia. And then I also offer a variety of professional development workshops and trainings for healthcare providers, primarily mental health therapists. And I also teach mindfulness-based stress reduction classes, MBSR classes, which is really a wonderful way to learn how to develop, how to practice mindfulness in our daily life. So it's a class that I teach 3 times a year. And every time the class fills up, which is really wonderful, folks who typically come to MBSR are people who are longing for a little more peace of mind, a little more joy, with more skills to navigate what seems to be an ever increasingly stressful way of life. So I get the opportunity to do a number of different things, which I really am so grateful and I enjoy. I love what I do.
I do know about that. So tell me, what got you started in this, and to get your PhD in this, and what got you started, and where did you go to school to learn all of this?
Well, I actually have been in the practice. I've been in the field of mental health for over 30 years, which is hard to believe. So doing a lot of different things, serving in a lot of different capacities, both here and then working and living internationally as well. And I came to mindfulness in particular, which is really the focus of my talk at your conference, at the upcoming conference, through my own full catastrophe, through my own personal suffering. So at the time, I was teaching and had been teaching at the University of Minnesota in Duluth, and had for probably 3, maybe 4 years, really started to suffer physically, and I was so stressed out all the time. And as my wall in my office at the university started filling up with plaques and awards for excellent teaching, excellent service work, excellent community outreach. Um, the, the more empty I felt, quite honestly. And I could not understand what was really happening. I kept having this, I guess my primary struggle was a shortness of breath. And I kept talking with my physician for several years, and we tried a variety of things, and I just really felt worse. Not blaming her, of course. It was really quite a conundrum. And then I noticed that the university was going to offer the first MBSR class to our community and to staff and faculty at the university. And I thought, oh, well, I had heard about meditation and I had read a few articles, and I was just desperate enough to try it. And I say that because I was moving at warp speed. I had to, with all I was doing, and in addition to teaching full-time and having 2 small children at home, I also was working on my doctorate in education. And so I was working probably 12, and I'm not exaggerating, 12 to 16 days, 7 days a week to keep up. And I was just accomplishing all these amazing things. But I really couldn't catch my breath because I was quite literally running too fast. So to sign up for a meditation class, I had to be pretty desperate. And so I started, and it was so difficult just to bring my sorry butt to the cushion. Just to sit for a few moments was excruciating. I had my life planned out a year in advance, honestly, as an instructor. I had to. And so I was always living in the future, right? Unknowingly cultivating anxiety. So when I first started meditating, I often tell the story of doing it with both eyes open, staring at an orchid about this big, this close, so that I could just have something to focus on, listening to music all the time, mind you. And that was hard. It was very, very difficult, as learning to meditate for many people is, because we move at such warp speed. But I stuck with it because I was persistent and always thought of myself as a good student. So I wasn't going to not do my homework, which was a half hour of practice a day. And so I sat and I sat and I sat. And one day, a few weeks into the class, I was able to close one eye and meditate, and then soon 2 eyes, still with music going, listening to the guided meditations, breathing, working so hard. And over time, something started to shift. And one day, I opened my eyes and I looked out our living room window, and the grass seemed greener than it had ever been. I joke about the experience. I thought I was hallucinating. I wasn't. I was just beginning to wake up. Just beginning. A few weeks later, I was walking with my son, who was very little at the time, down this long dirt driveway of ours to meet Sissy, get Gracie off the school bus. And Billy and I had walked this path many, many, many times. But this time, I noticed, honestly, for the first time, his tiny little hand in my hand. And I stopped and I looked at his little hand. I could feel it. I could touch it. And I looked at his little face, and this overwhelming sadness showed up with this thought of, where have I been? He was probably maybe 3, 4 at the time. Where had I been? And then it was gone. It was so fleeting. But that was, again, this firefly experience of waking up, this firefly experience of present moment awareness. So I kept meditating because I knew something was happening. By the end of the 8 weeks, I could sit. I could sit with a guided meditation, and I started to hear the thoughts in my head that were really quite unpleasant. I always thought of myself as an optimist, and a positive person. And yet when I really started to befriend my thoughts and listen to them, which is really what mindfulness helps us learn to do, it's not pushing our thoughts away. It's not quieting the mind, although sometimes that happens, but that's not really what it's about. It's about learning to recognize that I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my feelings. I'm the silent observer of them. And to listen to what is actually showing up in my thought bubble. What are the feelings that I'm having? What is my body through the communication of sensation trying to tell me? This shortness of breath I came to befriend as one of my indicator lights, one of my best telltale signs of, you're moving too fast. Slow down the pace of your life. Slow it down, which is really what mindfulness calls us to do, such that we can learn how to cultivate through the practice of meditation. We learn to cultivate attentional focus, which then allows us to notice where we are in the moment, to be here now, again and again and again. And only with that awareness that starts ever so small, only with that awareness can I ever claim my power to change my mind, to change my life, to learn how to show up as my true essential self, which has been here all the while, but I didn't know that. I, like most people, was taught to produce, perform, and perfect. And I do that really well. Took great pride in being an efficiency addict. Get it done really well. But that's not how we learn to love ourselves, because we can never produce, perform, or perfect good enough to fill that void. It's learning how to befriend our true self. I use the languaging essential self. Some say God within. Some say your wise mind, your North Star, right? Your authentic self. But it's that higher self of who we're here to be, which is innate. It's inherent to me. So it's not about what do I accomplish, how well I do it, how much I acquire. That's all empty. It's all empty. So mindfulness can help us learn to quiet the din, to go within, to listen to who it is I'm here to be.
Wow. Oh, I just like, can the conference be tomorrow? Oh, word. You have no idea how many women share with me just what you just said, and they're desperately looking for that, because we push ourselves so hard and we do have to be perfectionists. And this is why this whole message of this conference, and why you're starting us out to get centered and to get calm and to really evaluate and take a look at our lives. I was just scribbling down notes here while you were talking, going, oh my gosh, I'm not doing some of this stuff, and I absolutely can see what you're talking about, and it just, I'm like goosebumps, because I'm so excited about bringing you to a group of women to learn and to grow, and just what you just shared there, it can be transformational in their goals, in their dreams, and things that they want to do. Wow. Oh, that is just incredible. When in this conference, when we start with you, we're also going to talk about aging magnificently. We're also going to be talking about working through our messy brilliance, that we don't have to be perfect. And we're going to be talking about getting unstuck and breaking those barriers that hold us back. And then we're going to end it out by learning how to be that juicy woman, and understand our sacred selves. And just hearing what you're going to lay that foundation for us, is just amazing. Again, I kid you not, I'm between almost tears of joy and goosebumps. So it's just like, can you share some of the people you've worked with and you've seen their transitions and the things that they tell you that they're so glad that they did this work with you?
It is, well, let me back up and say, having been in the field for, like I said, over 30 years, coming to mindfulness through my own lived experience, my own full catastrophe, if you will, has really changed the way that I work with other people, with clients, with students, with clinicians. It has profoundly impacted the way I not only live my life, but how I serve in my life. So mindfulness is a core paradigm or framework or platform from which I serve. And it is such a gift. It is such an honor to walk alongside other human beings who are suffering in such intense ways too, which I know this suffering, and to watch them cultivate their own practice and over time learn how to reduce their own suffering by practicing new ways of showing up in their life, by leaning into what we call in MBSR or mindfulness, 9 ways of being. So instead of inadvertently cultivating anxiety, right? So anxiety and depression are the 2 most common conditions that call us to a new way of living, to a new way of life. Instead of inadvertently cultivating anxiety by worrying, by what-ifing, by catastrophizing, by resisting, by striving, I can, as soon as I notice what I'm inadvertently doing in my mind, I can choose to cultivate letting go. I can choose to cultivate non-judgment. I can choose to cultivate acceptance of what is. I can choose to cultivate gratitude, kindness, patience. And every time I choose a different path, Jill, I am changing my mind. I am changing my mind.
I love that. Oh,
I am quite literally creating new neural pathways in my brain, which is what the scientific evidence reveals again.
You were just going to get to my second question, which is there is science behind this. There is actual research behind this. So you just beat me to my question. So do you mind just giving us before we end here, just giving us a little bit of background behind that?
So Jon Kabat-Zinn, MIT research scientist, is the one credited with developing MBSR, and his colleague Saki Santarelli as well. They started researching the impact, if you will, the efficacy of mindfulness through an MBSR class 35 years ago. And the research was interesting in the beginning and indicating some promising outcomes. And about 10, maybe 15 years ago, the dramatic uptick in research has been shocking. This mounting body of evidence continues to suggest that not only can developing a mindfulness practice help alleviate pain and suffering, but it also can serve us in the mental health world for addressing, for alleviating, for helping folks learn how to manage, if you will, to mitigate depression, anxiety, and a whole variety of other physical conditions and mental health conditions that we struggle with. many of which are created by stress, living in chronic stress arousal. So this is an extremely exciting time to be in the mental health field because of this convergence of the body-mind connection in science and in practice. So it's very exciting. It is a gold star standard intervention that more and more psychiatrists refer folks to my classes, more and more MDs, because they are witnessing the same thing I get to witness as I walk alongside clients who learn how these practices that we can do both formal and informally in our life can serve us well to support our health and well-being. We are the gurus we've been waiting for a very long time.
Oh. Wow. My goodness, that is spot on. That is wisdom beyond, and that we can walk away with some very strong tools to help us move forward to where we want to get, because that's what this whole day is about, and just igniting, because I really believe we are all radiant. Yes, we can be messy. Yes, we can be imperfect. And yes, we can struggle with things and we're not always the best. But when we make some efforts towards that personal and professional development, it does radiate. It radiates us, it radiates our lives. And that's like a ripple effect out there.
Oh, this is really how we change the world, which is why I do what I do. We change the world from the inside out, one person at a time. And we do it by doing less so that we can quite literally be more.
I'm writing this down. Do less to be more. Yes.
And I say be with a capital B and a capital E, which doesn't mean doing nothing. The doing is the being.
Yeah.
Being who I'm here to be. And my invitation to practice is when I'm showing up irritable, grumpy, stressed out, annoyed, angry. Those are my invitations to drop in, to use my breath, to activate my parasympathetic nervous system, to calm myself down and remind myself that that my true nature is peace, is love, is kindness, is trust. I can choose that too. It is requiring less doing of ourselves to slow down the pace of life, to notice the rise and fall of moods, the birth and death of dreams. Feelings and sensations seem so real and yet shift like the changing clouds and float with the high tide out to sea again.
Yep. And I can imagine this will also help with the next waves, because we're all going to have waves that are going to hit us. And it's in how to be when those waves hit us and how to ride those waves so that we are healthier.
It is not that we never have stress again. That's not what this is.
Right.
John Kabat-Zinn has said, I kind of wish I hadn't called it our stress reduction. It's really stress tolerance. We learn how to recognize when we're activated, when we're stressed out, because only when I can recognize it can I actively choose a different path, which is to stop, take a breath, observe my inner landscape, and then proceed mindfully, proceed in a way that will serve me and all other living beings well.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is fantastic. Well, I can see right now, this is why you were led to me, and thank you for saying yes to come and share and to teach and to be with us at the conference. So Brenda, thank you. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing what you're going to be speaking, what you're going to be teaching, and then a little bit about you. It was a beautiful story, and I know a lot of women, and even myself, can relate. I love the little fingers of your little 3-year-old boy, because I'm a mom too, and I remember how things kind of got busy. So for any of you who can resonate to anything that was just shared here today, who do you know? If it's not for you, who do you know? Who can you help to inspire somebody's life? Share this video with them. Share the conference, March 2nd in Woodinville. Go to illuminatingwomen.com and register, sign up, because this is going to sell out. And you don't want to miss out on this powerful day that is for you, and make changes that are definitely going to help you with your goals and your dreams. And it's going to help society as a whole. So thank you again for your time today. Thank you, everybody, for plugging in and for listening. I hope you have a great day. Don't forget, March 2nd, Illuminating Women's Conference, Ignite Your Radiance. Go on to illuminatingwomen.com and register. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.